started. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the She is Hope LA. She is panel discussion today with our amazing, wonderful celebrities that are really helping us with everything. They've been a part of this from the beginning. Most of them, Gwen just joined us this last year, but we're going to be talking about quality of life and manifesting your dreams today. So I'd like to introduce you to our beautiful speakers. First is Julianne O'Connor. She's an award-winning author, actor, TEDx and NSA speaker, strategist, and has dedicated her life to helping people bridge the gap between the professional and personal lives so they can live with joy and abundance. She is the leader of 3 masterminds, CEO of Animal Impulse Limited, director of Z-Linked Marketing and Advertising, and on the faculty of the 4M Institute, and on the advisory board of 4 companies in development. She's a foster mom, wife, mother, and philanthropist, and has been a regular speaker from the beginning. She was at our very first gala, along with this lovely lady, Tiffany Phillips. She is a highly accomplished—
I can't go after that. I can't go after that.
Stop it.
Oh, please.
Listen to her.
Tiffany. Yes,
Work with me.
you can.
I'm trying to keep up with Tiff.
Tiffany Phillips, this lovely woman, is a highly accomplished, multi-talented, multi-hyphenated actress, producer, singer, comedian, and content creator who began her career in the New York theater. She's been on Scandal, MTV's Teen Wolf, and in The Daughter of Fortune, and was the lead background vocalist for Michael Bolton's World Tour. And she wrote and starred in her smash hit, I Never Met a Jerk I Didn't Like. I love that title. And her award-winning comedy series, Ethnically Ambiguous, which is so phenomenal. I love that. You can find that on YouTube. And she's the author of Own It, No Approval Needed. She's a regular speaker for us as well, been there from the beginning, and recently joining our tribe is this lovely lady, Gwendolyn Osborne Smith. She was one of the Amazons on Wonder Woman 84. So I put these bracelets on for her because that's like my favorite. I got this. One of my favorite things. She completed an arc on General Hospital, playing the fierce role of Police Chief Vic. She's been on Cut on Bounce TV. She was in Miami, Jack and Jill, Meet the Smiths, and working with the global production group ITV America as producer. Gwendolyn was nominated for the segment Foul Shots by Kenny Smith on True TV and the Synopsis Short Film Video Festival. She was on The Price is Right for 12 years, and she produced and hosted segments about current affairs on HLN as a parenting expert. Their hosting credits include Fox Soul and the Hallmark Channel's Home and Family. You can listen to her on Tea with Gwen, and she's the founder and CEO of La Malik. It's a beautiful facial oil that she has designed, an anti-aging facial oil. So thank you, ladies, for joining us. I'm excited to hear your discussion. I just kind of want to throw it out there. Let this be a casual discussion about quality of life, manifesting your dreams. You're all doing it, living it. You're so inspirational. You're amazing women. I'm honored to have you be a part of this. So please take it away.
Starting.
Now we're like, who goes first?
I know, right?
Julianne, like. Since she introduced you first, maybe?
Oh, I see.
I believe Julianne picked the topic as well. So, right. So get it.
Yeah, you know.
Which is a great topic.
I love the topic because it's really, you know, I think we lose sight of our quality of life when we're striving to, you know, accomplish our dreams, and yet they go in hand. But I would just say, like, you know, it's because I think when you do these introductions, Tisha, it's almost intimidating. Like it could be for me to hear everything that Tiffany and Gwendolyn have done, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, well maybe I should have said this or that, you know, like I should have added this in my bio. But I think one of the things that always comes up for me when I think about quality of life is really in coming back to grounding myself out of the whole idea of comparisons. And I think, you know, when we pursue our dreams, they're so personal, and yet we get wrapped up sometimes, I think, looking at, oh my gosh, that person said, I wish I could have, so I think just to start this discussion off, I would say that I just am honored to be in the company of amazing human beings who I admire and love so much. And also to feel like at this point in my life that I can be grounded and sit here beside you and just honor you and not need to, even though I'm going first, not need to take the attention. So I would love to turn it to you guys on that.
Well, thank you, Julianne, and I'm honored as well. I'm always honored to be a part of these, and that Tisha keeps asking me to come back because it's such a wonderful organization. And I always tell you how much I admire everything that you're doing. And yes, on that topic of comparison and how our dreams are so very important to us, and nobody can really outside of us can understand how important our dreams are. So for example, last week, and I'll be completely transparent, I had this little breakdown because I was on a Avail for a commercial, and Avail means it's like you're this close to booking the commercial. And I was just so, I hadn't booked in about a year. I haven't booked anything in a year. And I went from booking all the time, booking as in working on set, getting, booking different TV shows or, film as an actor, where it just kind of in COVID, this pandemic kind of shut all that down for me. And so now we're in this land of self-tapes, and it hasn't panned out for me yet. And so I was going through this moment of, is this really what I want to do? I mean, do I need to throw in the towel? Do I need to give this up? Why isn't it happening for me for this year of not booking? But it's also my mindset. So I had developed this resistance towards doing self-tapes, because I hadn't booked. So it's like, I don't even want to do these self-tapes. And it's that resistance that is keeping me from my dream. We create our lives. Gwendolyn says this, and it's so true. It's all about your feeling. And we hear this with the law of attraction and all of that. So as soon as I was feeling down, it seemed like things weren't really happening for me. But I had to really make a conscious effort to bring my mood up, stop focusing on what's not going right for me, focus on everything that is going well in my life, and get into this state of gratitude. And it feels like things are falling into place again. And everything happens for a reason. So all of this time of me not booking, there's a blessing in it. There's a lesson in it. And my lesson is to stop resisting the thing that I want so much. I think that I'm not resisting it, but I truly am, because I can't go into each one of these self-tapes with an attitude of why bother? Because if I think that they're not seeing it on the other side of that camera, they're seeing it. They can see it in your essence and the way that you carry yourself. And so I had to stop looking at who was booking and comparing myself to, oh, well, they're booking, I'm not booking. And that makes me less worthy of my dreams. And maybe this is not where I'm supposed to be. So I've been having to give myself many pep talks. And now I'm starting to see my dreams manifesting. Things are slowly starting to come together because I had to get out of that emotional place of the low vibration of where I was, because somebody said, what you resist persists. Yep, it's the truth. And it was persisting like a mug. Everything that I was focusing on that wasn't happening just kept not happening. So that to me is very important. The feeling place, where you are emotionally and what vibration you're on, that only helps and contributes to you manifesting the life of your dreams.
That was wonderful. And thanks for sharing that, Tiffany. I did push her to share. I think because she doesn't see her own accomplishments sometimes, as you were saying to you, Julianne, we don't ever really, because we're in our own lives and we're in our own heads and we see ourselves every day. We're just used to ourselves and almost bored of ourselves sometimes, we don't look at, the successes, and where we're at and what we've done. And remember 20-year-old girl that, looked at women like us and was like, oh my gosh, I want to be like you one day. And we are them. And we don't see ourselves as that sometimes. So we've got to remember to do that. And so I told her, I was like, Tiffany, hi, you have accolades and awards, and you are like, in this business, somebody that people look up to and want to be like. So for you to share that you have a moment of feeling down because it's not gone exactly your way, please let everybody know that it's okay for them to do that too. If somebody in your position can do that, then you can do that too. I am talking about, quality of life and manifesting. I have my hashtag, as Tiffany said, create your world. And I came up with that before hashtags even existed. I have a 25-year-old, Monique, And Monique Smith, she's a grown woman on a TV show now, and she's living her life with her boyfriend in her apartment and her dog. And I was 17 and pregnant with her, and I was just like, oh wow, I am going to have to create my own world. Like, I do not want this baby to have the same experiences I had. So we're going to create a very different world, and you and me are going to do it. We're going to do it. I think I was like 8 or 9 weeks pregnant, wasn't showing or anything. And at 17 years old, you don't show till you're like 6 months pregnant. So it's very different then. But I was like determined that this was going to be, and some way now when I look back, sometimes I can be too much in my own world. But when I go back to it, it does quiet those voices out. It does take away that competition. It does put me in the place of, where are you? And then my other hashtags are, get up and move, because when you move your body, it works for you. And you're basically thanking it for working for you, and you're taking care of it, And so I say, get up and move. And then the last hashtag is have gratitude, because if you have that gratitude, when you start looking at what you do have, you realize, like I said at the beginning of what I was saying, that you can work from what you've got, and from there, you will get more of what you already love, and what you have, it will just come. And that energy will keep going out and being attracted by more great energy, like all of us on here. And we just keep going with the good stuff,
Gwendolyn, I'm laughing. The gratitude thing yesterday, I had to do an interview, and they asked, and I was going super, super fast. And I don't know if you've done this where you're filling them out for the press, and you just don't have time to think. And they said, if you had to write a book title for your life up until now, what would the title be? And so I just pulled out of wherever, thin air. And I was like, gratitude reverses aging. And
I like it.
So,
I like that.
And I was laughing because I told my husband this morning over coffee, I was like, yeah, I wrote this book title, gratitude, for this interview. I was telling him the same story, and we were laughing so hard because I don't look like I've reversed aging, but I feel at this age with gratitude that you embrace your aging on a different level. Like when you're really, really genuinely grateful, it's like, man, life is so good, and you feel so lucky.
Yes.
So anyway, so I love the gratitude piece.
Yeah.
What do you think in there?
Gratitude is always so important. And I was just saying that I had to be thankful for what was going right for me. And it's interesting because I did this post because IATSE, which is the crew part of the entertainment industry, they're possibly going on strike for being paid such low wages and these hours that are just unworkable. They never get to see their family. So I wanted to show my support by posting some pictures of me being on set with the crew and just how they are such an integral part of the working machine of the entertainment industry. And so just showing my support. But as I was going through these pictures of me on set, it was as if I was going down a reminder of what a badass I am. Like, oh yeah, that's right. I did that. It's like you forget when you're kind of in the depths of your own feelings of what's not going right. I didn't get this. You kind of forget, like Gwendolyn said, everything that you've done. And so posting those pictures, I felt like was a reminder for me that, I'm doing just fine. Let's not be so hard on ourselves. Also having compassion with yourselves. This is very important. I was being incredibly hard on myself. I'm over here blaming myself for not getting this commercial when it's totally out of my hands. I was like, well, I should have done this more. I should have done that. How about you did the best? You're doing the best you can in this life. How about pat yourself on the back and go easy? Would you be this hard on your best friend? No, unless they really needed it. Although Gwendolyn and I, Julianne and I, we can be hard on each other, but it's tough love. But with yourself, go easy on yourself. And try to think of yourself as a little child who's coming through this life and trying to figure things out, because that's really what we are. We're all just trying to figure it out, right? We didn't come into this life with an instruction manual on how to live it. We had to figure it out. And look at what we're doing. Here we are. If you are still here right now, you figured it out. You're doing well. You're doing well. You may not have figured everything out, but you're doing something right because you're here.
Gwendolyn, if you had to say your secret to staying grounded and having that gratitude, what would be your secret?
I have a very good best friend. She's like a sister to me. She's a soul sister. She was given to me 20 years ago when I first moved out to LA. Actually, it's longer than that, it's 25 years ago to LA. No, 20 years ago. Get it right, Gwendolyn. And math, it's not my strong thing. And you know, she was the one who introduced me to that quote that everybody knows: live, laugh, and learn, right? And so I have kept that, live, laugh, and learn. And that's what I do. Like, I'm always a student in life. I'm always open to learning. And, you know, I try to stay in my present, and I try to stay laughing, like loving and laughing. I mean, that's it. I just want to make sure that I stay present. I'm currently studying meditation so I can be certified in that. And it's with The Path, which is an amazing company as well. And nutrition, which is all part of gratitude, taking care of the body. And I've learned that through that, Buddhism really has a big deal on impermanence. And impermanence has really helped me recently, because even though I didn't realize I was already kind of doing it, it makes you realize that nothing is permanent, whether it be good or bad. And it allows you to really be present in your moment. And so when I really want to throw a shoe at my children, sometimes I'm like, don't do that, because you won't feel that mad in a minute at them, and it's okay. You can get through this, you know?
We have
the joyful times too, when you're like, let me take this in, you know, they're not going to be 8 or 9 forever. They won't be 13 forever. Like, take it in, you know, so there's the other side of it too. So yeah.
And you make those TikToks with your daughter. I love that. I love them. Yeah. They make me laugh and smile every time I see those.
Oh, good.
How old are your kids now, Gwendolyn?
So the little one just turned 9. My son is 13 and 6'3" and loves that he's taller than me. And then my daughter's 25.
Okay, nice. Wow. I can't even believe you have a 25-year-old as well. And we have a little guest unit, and we are turning it into my oldest daughter, who's 12. Her name is Lotus, and we're turning our little guest unit, it's a separate building from our house, and into the Lotus Zen Den. And that's going to be like,
nice.
It's right now open, and we're fixing it up today. And so it's cool. What I absolutely,
you know what's good about that?
I want a Zen Den.
Yeah, Julianne, you can be like, you know what, girlfriend, you need a little time in your Zen Den right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead on over there.
Hey, I've got even my 3.5-year-old, when we go to bed at night, she's pulling out this little like gong, and she's taking us through a meditation. We're doing essential oils and, you know, going into this amazing Zen space to go to bed, because it was that or like kicking and screaming. So I was like, okay, we have to have a routine. We have to have a tradition. We got to like do something differently. And so this is where we're at, and she loves it. So
I bet she does. That's darling.
Can I use that on my cat, who's constantly yelling at me?
Totally.
Like, let's stop meowing, Nala. Let's stop. See this. I love
that with
the
my dog Roxy.
See, I don't know if it works the same, but I love the laughter here, and what you brought up about laughter, Gwendolyn, because that I feel like is my love language. It's my everything language. It's why I started a podcast called Self-Deprecated, available on all podcast platforms. And it is finding the funny in life, even when life is kind of shitty, excuse my language, because it happens. Nothing's perfect all the time. And also with this past week that I had my little breakdown, because breakdowns happen, because you know, when a breakdown happens, guess what else happens? The breakthrough. Okay. So I did have a breakthrough with this breakdown. And the breakthrough was that I'm out here seeking too much outside validation. And here I am writing a book about owning who you are and not needing the approval of others. Yet I was basing my whole self-worth on the approval of booking a role. Like, this is how I looked at myself. If I didn't book this role, something's wrong with me. I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. And that's just a recipe for disaster, because the expectation of getting everyone's approval, it's never going to happen. The only approval you need is your own approval. You got to love yourself and approve of yourself. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter if these casting people cast me or not. I have to know that I'm amazing, I'm talented, and, you know, didn't work out for this one. maybe the next one. And even if it's not the next one, guess what? I'm still awesome. I'm still great. It
Tiffany
doesn't matter.
is awesome, by the way. I mean, you are awesome. And like, if you really look
But
at
I'm
what
saying that
you've
like
done,
in general, everybody should feel that way about themselves. Come on, I'm not over here like,
yeah,
on.
well, and we all know that the secret to manifesting your dreams, especially in this space, is to make sure that you give a plug to yourself. Like, you know, my hashtag is spelling it out, and my, you know, Instagram is spelling it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. But you know, I think, you know, it's interesting because going back to what Gwendolyn said about the friend thing, I think it's important because we all go down that route, right? We all get a little self-deprecating at times. And Tiffany, you have been harder on yourself than I think almost anybody that I have ever known. And yet you've accomplished more than most people I have ever known. And so I think there's good and bad in it, right? But I think it starts to shift as you get older. They say you get happier with age, and they say that the reason is because you go from doing, always trying to accomplish, into a being state. And if that is a true, you know, testament for what creates happiness, or, you know, that's sort of a name I don't like. I like, you know, another, you know, like acceptance or being, I think is great. But then that should tell you something. And go back to what Gwendolyn is saying, is that, you know, being in the moment and just giving gratitude for what is right now is so critical and so important. The other thing is giving back, man. I got to tell you, you know, as a foster mom and as an adoptive mom, and then of course I have my biological as well, but you start to see when you're giving the drama that happens in other people's world that is so intense and gives you such incredible perspective on how good you have it, that I feel like taking what Gwendolyn was talking about with growth, like always growing, and the gratitude piece that Tiffany always has gratitude. Like you know, you're amazing at that. And then pairing it all with giving and generosity and giving back. I think those are absolutely the secrets to my ability to really love my quality of life. Like to really love life is just like, whoa, perspective. You know?
And you know what, so much to you, Julianne, for what you do and everything you do with, you know, struggling with the challenges you don't know about, but you're constantly educating yourself to figure it out and say, you know what, I'm going to be able to do this. I mean, even down to what you just said about, you know, how do we get through nighttime? Like you've never dealt with that before. And you're like, and if we don't do it, it's going to go this way. So we're going to find some meditational way to peacefully get this child to sleep. Like, you know, having an open mind like that, an attitude that's just, you know, for good is a great thing. And you are a great example of that. I think not allowing yourself to sit in feeling alone is also such a great thing. You know, Tisha, you're showing that with this. You know, I think people, when we do self-deprecate, we do start feeling like we're the only ones going through this thing at this time. And we just really can just make it all about that, you know, and instead of reaching out and being vulnerable. And so Tiffany and I, we have a Marco Polo, we have one of just her and I, and we also have one with a couple of other friends too. And I promise you, I think that it's going to become a show one day, because through the whole pandemic.
Video messaging, for those who don't know,
Yeah.
it's where instead of texting, we're video messaging.
It's video messaging. And so I'm telling you, it will take us from, you know, crying to anger to laughter. I mean, and we are supporting each other through it all, so that, you know, when she's like, for example, has a moment like what she did last week, she is able to just express herself. That makes her feel like she's getting it out and that she's feeling heard. And we come back and we're here for her and we bring her back, and then we laugh, you know, and then we're like, guess what? You felt bad, and that's okay. You can feel bad. It's okay to feel bad, because now you know what feeling good is like. Let's get back to that and let's keep it moving, you know? So it's supporting each other and knowing you're not alone. Huge.
That is so true. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to jump in because I love Marco Polo, and I find that I'll like sort a lot of things out with my friends. But what I say to a lot of the moms that I work with, a lot of these ladies that when we speak to them, they just want to know they're not alone. And if I didn't have my friends and family to vent to when I was going through my worst times, when I was going through the divorce, I would have imploded. So I think it's so important to share. You're so right. And I think it's, you know, to have that tribe of support and have people that you can talk to and know that it's okay. You know, we're all going to have our times. The other thing I was thinking, because I've been having a rough couple of weeks too, Tiffany. So let me tell you, I've been so stressed out about everything and making sure it's all going. It's just been a lot. But I know what I do is keep my eyes on the prize. Like I look at the future. I know where I want to be. And that's what I just keep focusing on. Yeah, I'll have my little meltdowns every so often, but just like looking to the future and where you want to go. And the goal has really helped me. And I say that to a lot of people too.
So
Well,
true.
look at She Is Hope LA is like the perfect example of that. And, going back, I know it's just redundant to say that, but it's the truth, because even being invited to be a part of this, not only is it an honor, but it also humbles me in a huge way and reminds me, like, again, how lucky I am and how important it is to be able to share and be commune with other people, no matter what. Especially as women, especially, as mothers, for those of us who are mothers, and just all of it. So, and we all have different perspectives and things going on. And so it's interesting, even if we have it good, I think there's gifts we can give to people who are having a rough time. If we have it rough, sometimes that's a gift to people who are having a rough time and they've got it good, because we just need to hear what's going on with people. And so I think it's all really great. And I really appreciate who you are, Tisha, and what you've done with all of this. It means the world to so many people. I know that.
Thank you.
I concur. And you know what, Tisha and Tiffany, perfect is boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect is boring. Like
We're both Capricorns, by the way. I wonder if this is a Capricorn thing.
No, it's just like, it's
oh,
good to know that you struggle too. I mean, it's good to have this, this full human, like we are so complex, right? So for us to know, we obviously know, Tisha, talking to you right now, what you are able to do and accomplish. And I promise you, when I have some days and I feel like I don't want to do shit, I think about you and I'm like, no, she's doing like 5 different businesses right now. And she's got her kids. And no, you're going to get up and do it. And you motivate me in my mind in that way. But then to hear that you do have struggles and it is tough for you sometimes makes me go, okay, she's human too. And she doesn't, it's not easy for her either. And so when it's not easy for me, I know that I can get through because I think about you and hearing you with these stories, right? So to show that you are this full human being is amazing for everybody to know.
Call me whenever you're feeling funky. We'll vent. So we need to do more.
And why isn't Julianne a Marco Polo? I need to Marco Polo with Julianne.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll
right.
Yeah, I'm like, I do Marco Polo with the kids in the pool. I have no clue what you guys are talking about.
I'll send it to you.
Video messaging. I'm going to send you an invite and you're going to love it because you respond when you have the time.
Yes.
And then it's a video message. Remember Voxer? We used to do Voxer.
Yeah, we used to box a lot.
I don't remember Voxer.
Voxer. Yeah, there's so many ways to stay in contact. Oh, can I just chime in real fast on the self-deprecation? Because everyone was kind of speaking about it with this negative connotation to it. And to me, like my podcast is called Self-Deprecated because to me, it's about not taking yourself so seriously. Like when you are able to laugh at yourself, that shows a lot of confidence. If I make fun of myself all the time, because if I didn't, then life would be really boring, right? Like those times, oh wow, I fell down the stairs, but I fell down those stairs fast. It's like, how can you lighten the load a little bit? So I know there is a stigma with the word self-deprecation, but I also feel like it's an endearing quality, and you're not necessarily putting yourself down. But you're just kind of laughing at the oddities of life, the things that life throws at us. Instead of letting it break you, how about you just laugh at it? Just look at that. Somebody bumped into my car. Oh, wow. What a day, it helps.
Yeah, but what you said was important. I think when you have a breakdown, you also have a breakthrough. I think that was a beautiful thing. That was so true. Just depends on how long that breakdown's going. You got to get out of it and have that breakthrough.
Yeah, Tisha, as you speak to yourself, don't have no breakdowns. You've got this, girl. You are really, really, like Gwendolyn and Julianne said, we're all in awe of you. You say you're in awe of us. We're in awe of you and what you're doing, and to help humanity, really, truly. And I love what Julianne said about the giving back, because it takes the focus off of ourselves and, oh, woe is me. When you start giving back to others, it puts everything into perspective for you. So I love that. And Julianne, I mean, just being a foster mother to these babies. It's just, I'm in awe of Julie. I'm in awe of Julianne. I'm in awe of Gwendolyn. I'm so honored to be their friend. Gwendolyn and Julianne are more like my sisters. Like they're more than, just friends to me, they're family. So, and it's true, that support system is so important. And I'm grateful to have all of you. And Tisha, one of my newest friends, who I consider you like family as well. It's a blessing to have you guys in my life.
Yeah, I have to tell you, so it's funny, we're clearing out all of the stuff, like out of the garage, getting rid of things, even like books of pictures and stuff. So I stumbled upon, just to give you an idea of where you've come from, Tiffany, I stumbled upon a book of photographs from like 20 years ago when we first started hanging out. And it was like Hollywood party after Hollywood party after Hollywood party. And I think I sent you a couple pictures. I was like snapping pictures of pictures. Yeah. And it's incredible. If you really look back where you've come from, like how much you have done, and you like have blown my mind with what you've done. And you set your mind to things. This is an interesting field when people have your fate in their hands and you don't have your fate in your hands with those decisions. You have it in other ways, like your show that you did and your and that you're working on, and your podcast and everything else. So that's, I think, a shift. And when we talk about manifesting our dreams, I think a lot of times we forget that when we start to feel out of control, that there are things we can do. And I think that a lot of your career has been a testament for that, because you've gone out there, you've created your own shows, you produced your own shows, you've written your own shows, it's like all of that people don't know behind the scenes. I think about my Super Bowl commercial, and people are like, oh, you were in an award-winning, Super Bowl commercial that won $1 million. And I'm like, yeah, but what you don't see is that behind the scenes, we were like, strategizing on who was going to tweet pug facts and who was going to, call people to make sure they shared their Facebook, post, like on the phone, we were calling them to share. It wasn't like it just went viral and poof. So it's like, people don't see what happens, I think, behind the scenes. And I think that's sometimes the comparison we do with other people that we think are ahead, is we forget the sacrifices that they've made, and we may not want to make the sacrifices that they made. I know I wouldn't want to trade places with anybody. So, it's like, I do have the same syndrome. I will still compare myself from time to time. And then I just reel it back in and go, wait a second, like, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes for them. Or sometimes I get insight and I'm like, wow, never, ever would I trade my life for that, Yeah. So.
Can I say something?
Yeah, please
do. A group of my girlfriends and I a while back were talking about, if we put our problems on a table and we, looked at all the problems, we would most likely take our own problems back when we looked at our friends' problems, because we're so comfortable with the problems that we are dealing with, even though they're difficult. So it's so interesting, and you look at other people's and then you realize, like, yeah, my problems are big, but I don't know if I'd want their problems, So it's like you can really, but it's also a way to bring compassion as well, when you can really talk about with each other and look at each other's problems and help each other. But it's so interesting. It's very interesting.
For sure, Brooke.
So true.
It's about knowing, it's about accepting and knowing that you are on the path you're supposed to be on.
Yeah,
exactly. And you were talking about Buddhism, and I'm a practicing Buddhist for almost 10 years in December. And it's this radical acceptance of when you can radically accept where you are in that moment and know that's what you're supposed to be. It's not always easy. I just lost my father just a month ago. And he lived a big life. And you guys are talking about all these accomplishments. And I look back at his life. He's a very famous drummer, and he had, platinum records. And you look back, and I'm watching these videos and interviews of him, people are putting up on his fan page. And as his daughter, and when we were going through it, he's such a humble person. I never even realized all that he was, and we don't realize who we are. And sometimes we really have to kind of, we have to pat ourselves on the back a lot more, and realize who we are in that moment and what, how we're affecting people so much more than we realize. And I know Tisha does so much, as she's a good friend of mine. And she's just all that she does as well. As you guys were saying, you're like, okay, I got to keep going because I'm not going to stop with what I'm doing. And I've just gone back to college after 18 years.
Oh, yay.
That's
Yeah, and
awesome.
I
That's a
was a
big
sign
deal.
language interpreter before having a son,
Fabulous.
and, now been a stay-at-home mom for the last 16 years. And I'm married, and I have a very, supportive husband, but I'm back in college, and, all these kids are very young, but it's a different world. I enjoying it in a way I never enjoyed it before. And I just have this, love for learning. So anyways, it's just, we really do. And I get stuck in my own, like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing enough. And, and it's so easy to get stuck there and be hard on ourselves. So it's good to hear we're all like that, because when you hear other people, it makes you feel so much better, because you do start to feel alone like that.
Yeah. And, I'm just going to add to that, we're talking about manifesting our dreams, and we're talking about quality of life. And, I work with, owners of corporations, owners of, companies, and my goal is supposed to be to go in there and kind of help them with fast growth. And I don't work with people if we can't ground it in quality of life and what really matters, because that is what everything is about at the end of the day. And, people get caught up in the grow, do, and become, hit these accomplishments or these timelines, and we lose sight of, what we already have, all of that stuff. But I think if you constantly, even when you're setting goals, you constantly check it and check in with yourself with what really matters at the end of the day. I have a little practice where I'll like jot down where I'm at, jot down, where I want to go. And then I'll jot down my why, and I'll go deeper. Why that? And by the end of it, I'm like, oh shit, I can cross all this stuff off my list, because my why is already there. It's already like, I have what I need already. Like, I don't need to work harder to accomplish this goal, because my reason is to spend more time with my kids, because by not having to work harder to get this bigger house or whatever, I already have the time with the kids. You know what I mean? It's just like little things like that. And sometimes having a practice, I think, is beneficial, or ways that you can sort of check in with yourself. I think we don't take time. We literally don't carve out time to check back in on why does this really matter? Why does it matter that we hit these goals? And yeah, it's nice sometimes, and sometimes they do serve a greater purpose, but a lot of times I eliminate stuff I thought I wanted from my list.
I love
Yeah, I love that. But Brooke, I wanted to say thank you for sharing about your loss of your father, and I'm so sorry for that. And I know that there's going to be some time that it is take for you to heal through that. But I loved that you brought the full circle of life into it by saying that it made you think about who you are, and he wanted you to basically hear that from him, like, look at what I've done. I need you to now look at what you're going to do and what you've done. And the fact that you've been able to take that and say, right, you know what, I'm inspired now to create a new Brooke. I'm inspired to do a new me. And I always say, like, my hashtag, create your world. So you're continuing to do that with what life as it is right now. So I just wanted to say thank you for,
Thank you.
I second that. Yeah, Brooke, I didn't mean to like gloss
Oh,
over
no.
that. I was thinking that too, Gwendolyn. Thank you for saying that. My heart goes out to you, and that's a tough journey. I lost my own, and I know what that's like from a young version, but as an adult, I think it's you process it differently. And
yeah, it's hard for me. I'm trying to take care of my mom. She just lost the love of her life after, and I'm just really trying to take care of her and mourn when I'm not with her, because she needs me right now more than anything. So that's what I'm trying to do. So even though I went back to college, and I was going to do, my goal was to take 2 college classes at a university instead of just 1. But then my dad got sick, and I decided to take 1 so that I could really be there. And then he ended up passing away. But, I'm still in college, and I'm proud of myself for continuing and still being able to be there as a mom, a wife, and a daughter is what my mom needs most. So I'm just, trying to give us both a quality of life. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Adult Chair podcast, and I've really learned to sit in my adult chair. Michelle Chalfant, she's amazing. It talks about the 3 chairs are a child, adolescent, and adult. And, you know, because we get triggered by, especially our mothers or, you know, when they're going through something, they can be harsh. And I've just learned in those moments to just really stay in my adult chair, what I call it, and not be triggered and realize she's mourning, even though I'm mourning. And it's just been, you know, it's just, yeah, I've never lost my mother or father. So this is, you know, other people do it, and obviously it's going to happen.
Tiffany,
Brooke, I can relate to everything you're saying right now, because in 2018, my mom was my best friend. I lost her to stage 4 lung cancer. And then my dad 6 months later in 2019. So I feel you, and I know I know what it feels like to be in this place. It's and what you said about your dad's accomplishments, and the thing is that we can't take any of these things with us. So in the grand scheme of things, all of this stuff that we're striving for, at the end of the day, we can't take it with us. We got to protect our spirit, our soul, our emotional well-being. Really, that comes first, because we were cleaning out my dad's house, and he just had all of these accolades, accomplishments, military awards. I mean, everywhere, boxes and boxes of it. And I remember my brother said, so this is the sum of a man's life. Like, he's gone, and now we're divvying up all of this stuff. We have to have an estate sale to get rid of everything, all of this stuff that he accumulated in his life. But the legacy that he left behind goes far beyond any of the stuff, the awards, the accolades. His legacy lives on in me. My mother's legacy lives on in me. Your dad's legacy lives on with you. And how we honor them is by carrying out this legacy, making them proud on the other side. Because I always say, whenever I'm feeling down and I want to start crying, and I let myself cry, because the grief, it doesn't really go away. You know, it's your parents. It never really goes away. And you got to take those moments to cry and let it out. But I really strive to be happy, because I know that's all my parents wanted for me. They wanted me to be happy. And so by me being happy, living my life, laughing, enjoying it, that is how I'm honoring them. And I always say they're living their best afterlife. Like, they're probably in a better place than we are. So I've got to stay up, because even my mother, when she was diagnosed, she said, Tiffany, I need you to be the strong woman that I raised you to be. And I didn't know if I could be that strong, you know, because I love her so much. And see, even thinking about it, I didn't know I could be that strong. Brooke, I bet you when your dad got sick, you're like, I don't think I can handle, I don't know if I can be this strong. But look at you're doing it, and you're taking care of your mother on top of that. And I look at myself and go, wow, I'm resilient. I'm strong. Look at what I'm doing in spite of this tragedy that's happened in my life. Like, if you would have told me 10 years ago that I wouldn't have both of my parents here with me now, and I'm still fairly young, I would have been like, no way. No, they're going to live to see my kids. They're going to live to see that. But it's the acceptance. I had to accept that this is not how it was going to be. This is how it's going to be. I'm going to be here without my parents. And in order for me to move on, I had to accept that, because it's not something that was in my control to change. I couldn't change my mom's diagnosis. I couldn't change that my dad just suddenly had a heart. I couldn't change any of that. This was out of my control. So what do I have to do? I have to keep moving forward for them. And so I'm proud of you. I've never met you. I don't know you personally, but I feel you through here, and I'm proud of what you're doing.
Thank you all.
On that track.
Thank you.
And I'll say that your question, do you know who you are?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that resides in me so much, because the woman who was a Wonder Woman in my life passed away to breast cancer also. And her last conversation with me was reminding me that one day I had told her that, like, do you know who you are? What are you doing? And it reminded her to get on with her story of her life, which ended up being directed by Patty Jenkins, which is the director of Wonder Woman. And it was a TV show that ended up on TNT. She wasn't able to live through to actually seeing that production happen. And before she left the world, she was like, I just remembered you saying, do you know who you are? She said, so before I go, you've got to remember who you are, Gwendolyn. And honestly, she is the she is the magic as to why I'm at where I'm at today, for reminding me about that, you know, and continuing on. Because I got asked at her funeral, basically, by Patty Jenkins to be in Wonder Woman, the movie, to be an Amazon and to be an elite competitive Amazon. And I could have said, no, come on, 40 years old, like, come on, you know. I didn't, though. I showed up and I said yes, and I continued on believing in myself. I had to go into an audition where they asked me to run up a wall and do a flip in the air in a harness, and I've never done anything like that in my life. But you know, I just kept thinking, do you know who you are? You can do this, you know, show up and say yes. And it was me and the wall, and I was like, okay, wall, let's do this. And we did it, right? I did the flip, I did it, I landed in my martial arts stance, and I was like, I know who I am. And that question is what got me there, you know, and then out 4 months in London and Spain, filming with all these other Wonder Women in the world. And so I just think, remember that, Brooke, when you have your time, when you are feeling like you can't get through, you remember to ask yourself that question that you said today. Do you know who you are? And it's going to get you through.
I don't even remember saying that. Did I say that? I'm like, did I say that? I said that.
Good.
You know,
That's
I was
awesome.
taking a social psychology class, and it's a lot about self. That's what it's about, self and the world. And it really is this, like, who you are, and how we identify ourselves is so interesting. And for me, I used to identify myself as a sign language interpreter, but once I stopped doing that, it was like, oh, who am I now? You know? And it is, we go through these different stages in life, but I think we are all that we've made up to this moment. We're all of it, and it's beautiful. Thank you guys for sharing.
I have to share something on that note. So first of all, Gwendolyn, you just inspired me. You also reminded me of when Tiffany like went over the wall at the bank, but that's another story.
I did. I'm like, I know who I am, and I am getting out of here.
But you know, I just have to share this story, and I'm going to cry as well. So my last memory of my father was he was being driven away to go be air flighted out of town, and he was in one of those old station wagon ambulances. And I just remember, I didn't really have a concept of what was going on, but I just knew he was in an ambulance. It was serious, and that was the last time I saw him. And as he was driving away, he couldn't even sit up in the ambulance. He was just like, bye. Like this energy and this smile, and it was just the essence of like, man, life is beautiful. And I have to just share this really quickly because it leads to, so if you've seen the movie Life is Beautiful, hopefully everybody has seen it, but if you haven't, it's, you know, about the Nazi concentration camps and how a dad kind of helped his kid go through the concentration camp, and he ended up, it's a true story, and he ended up surviving. But the dad made it like it was all a game. And he just took him through all of the atrocities as though and he taught him to hide, and they were competing against the other team. And it was just this big thing. So for the kid, it was like fun, and it was exciting. And so the other day, this week, I had to take my 3.5-year-old daughter to her occupational therapy appointment at LAUSD. All my kids do private school, but her occupational therapy, and this is the first in-person visit since COVID started. And it was like a nightmare, you know, like when you go and you have to go through all this stuff and log in all these things. And then they needed to COVID test her. And it was like these nurses dressed in full PPE. And then on top of it, they were like kind of scary looking. And then they were like grilling her, you've got to spit more, you've got to get, you know, blah, 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 blah. And so the whole time, I kept thinking of Life is Beautiful and my father and like his essence. And I'm just like, I'm going to make this fun. I'm going to make this fun. You know, it's like and so I'm like, come on, think of lemonade. You know, I'm like, spit some more. Wow. You know, and I'm like cheering her on, the only person in there, like acting a fool, having a blast with my 3.5-year-old. And so anyway, at the end, the nurse is like, okay, you see this much? You see how much you got in there? That's what you're going to have to do every single time. And I'm like, shit, you know, like this is every week my kid has to do this to do her OT test. I'm like, LAUSD, like, I don't even know. But anyway, So anyway, so we leave and I'm just, I'm like, she's like, I'll race you to the car. I'm like, yes, we race. And anyway, she goes to daycare. She goes about her day. I'm feeling horrible I told her we were going on this venture. She was going to get to, like color and play games with the OT person. They didn't let her because her results didn't come back, weren't going to come back right away. And it was 7:30 in the morning. So anyway, so all this stuff, I felt so guilty, and felt so bad for my kid. So then I pick her up at the end of the day and my whole family were like, let's all go pick up the kids. So my husband's in there, my older daughter and my baby. And she gets in the car and she's like, Daddy, it's the end of the day. She's like, I did a spit competition today.
So
Like,
So
yes, did it. I did something right as a mom. Like, that was worth it, because here I had all this guilt, and it's not about what happens. It's about our essence. It's about how we show up, and it's about how much we love. And it's about how much in all the shit that we try to have a little fun and find a little humor. And so thank you guys all for sharing and inspiring me. And I just had to share that because I was so amazed by this 3.5-year-old that at the end of the day, like, she doesn't talk about all the stuff that happened in her day. It was the morning. That was like the thing. And it stuck, I'm like, yes.
I'm going to do that with my bills. I get to pay bills today.
it's so true. In
Do that
Buddhism,
with everything from now on. You're looking at it as an adventure.
That's great.
yeah. In Buddhism, we say it's your heart that matters most. That's what comes, and that's what you did. That's beautiful with your daughter.
That's awesome.
I love
So
it
awesome.
all. Oh my gosh, this
So
was
funny.
phenomenal. I think we all needed to hear this today, and then everyone that we're going to be sharing this with. Thank you so much. I mean, it was beautiful. I think it's just perfect. You're all wonderful, wonderful ladies. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules and for being a part of this, and it's uplifting, inspiring everybody with us, but especially single moms. That's who we're catering to, but you're just wonderful. Thank you so, so much for everything. I hope you can join us again for all of the events coming up in the next few weeks.
Thank you for having us, Tisha. Thank you.
for having us.
That was
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you, gals. Really loved it.
Thank you so much.
This is beautiful.
Yes, it
Thank
was
you.
great. Thank you so much.
This is very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. Have a wonderful day. Mwah. Love you
Enjoy
all.
your
We're gonna
weekend,
mark a photo now.
everyone.
Bye,
Thank
ladies.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.